Welcome to Couple Reviews, where I fix an old video. I had made a couple review about Ariel and Eric in the past, but it was not great performance-wise, so I decided to add a few things to the script and try again now that I have a little more experience. I said before that Sleeping Beauty is my favorite Disney film from the classic era. The Little Mermaid is my favorite out of Disney's Renaissance era. We begin with a sea shanty in which we're introduced to my boy Eric.
Look up, Madam Mermaid, be waiting for you in mysterious fathoms below.
Isn't this great? The salty sea air, the wind blowing in your face.
I didn't think too much of Eric when I was young, but he's become one of my favorite Disney princes. Mostly because of Prince of Song and Sea, which is a book that tells the Little Mermaid story from Eric's perspective. It added a lot more than you'd expect it to, and I highly recommend it as the best Disney book that I've read so far. As for the sea shanty,
I'll tell you a tale of the bottomless blue, and it's hey to the starboard heave ho.
We can do better. This sequence displays Eric's love of sailing, which ends up being infinitely fitting. It's never brought up, but Eric's love of the sea means that Eric and Ariel both have a fascination with the other's world. Later we see Ariel being really irresponsible, to be quite honest. She skipped out on a concert she was supposed to perform in to dig through a sunken ship and nearly gets her best friend, who she shoved into this, eaten by a shark.
Let's get out of here. You're not getting cold fins now, are you?
After that, she has a talk with her father, King Triton, who hates humans and discourages Ariel's fascination with the surface world. Ariel defends her decision to go to the surface, citing that she's 16. Now here's the problem. This film wants to send a message that overprotective parents need to let their children make their own decisions, but that's undermined by the fact that Ariel's decision-making skills are mixed. More on that later. Ariel sees the ship passing over her hideaway and swims up to the surface to take a look at the humans. And of course, her mind is blown when she sees how handsome Eric is. Is this her only reason for loving him? Not really, but the other reasons aren't so pronounced. The first time Ariel sees Eric, he's playing with the dog. Maybe she loves a man who loves dogs. Some women go for that. There's also this conversation Ariel overhears about Eric not being interested in an off-screen princess, but still believing that's the right girl for him is out there somewhere.
The entire kingdom wants to see you happily settle down with the right girl.
Oh, believe me, Grim, when I find her, I'll know.
He never says why he wasn't interested in the other princess, but Prince of Song and Sea details how terribly that meeting went. Without spoiling too much from Prince of Song and Sea, Eric has been... what I'm about to tell you happens super early, so it's not really a spoiler. Eric has been cursed to die if he's kissed by anyone who isn't his true love. Apparently, the Princess Grimsby wanted him to marry had a little sister who tried to give him a platonic kiss on the hand. As you do. Eric reacted, and the rest was disaster. Thankfully, it was more than just him wanting someone hotter. But if he did want someone pretty, he's not going to have a problem with Ariel. You know, if I was Eric, I would feel robbed, because Ariel wears nothing but a seashell bikini top until she starts hanging around him. Anyway, that conversation Ariel overheard, if nothing else, at least taught Ariel that Eric is a romantic. And deeper than that, he's someone who doesn't let other people's expectations and royal protocol push him around, making him the kind of person Ariel wants to be. So marrying Eric would be ideal for her. A storm hits and the crew is forced to abandon ship. Eric goes back to save the dog, probably earning some man points in Ariel's eyes. But after the dog is saved, Eric himself is knocked out. If it weren't for Ariel being there to see the whole thing, I would tell this man that going back into a burning ship for a dog was stupid. But apparently it paid off. Ariel heroically rescues Eric from drowning and brings him to shore with her surprisingly strong arm. Wow! What a great thing she's done to save her man. That sounds like it would make her his equal. even if he did some huge epic act to save her from the villain. I see no reason at all why a reboot would change the ending so that Ariel is the one to kill Ursula. That would be taking a dynamic that was equal to begin with and making it unequal, while trying to tell me that it's equal. But anyway, Ariel takes the opportunity to get an eyeful of him and sings about how she wants to be part of his world. That's not just because of what little she knows about Eric. She sang the same song before she knew he existed. She's always had a fascination with humans, partly because of the inventions humanity creates. When Eric wakes up, he's not all there yet, and the sun is messing with his view of Ariel, which means he's going to have a hard time recognizing her later. But he remembers that she has a beautiful voice, and that she saved his life, which means that she is girlfriend material. And why is her voice such a big deal, you might ask? Well, according to Prince of Song and Sea, when his curse was cast, not only did it specify that he would die if he kissed someone who isn't his true love, but also that his true love will be someone with a beautiful voice. The idea of Eric needing to not kiss anyone unless they have the right voice is genius, not only because it gives him extra reason to obsess over the singing girl who saved him, but also because it gives him more reason to hesitate with the voiceless Ariel, who he would otherwise prefer. Ariel's friend Flounder brings a statue of Eric to Ariel's collection of human stuff.
Flounder.
Wait, how on earth did this tiny little fish carry this huge stone statue all the way there? I'm inclined to think that when the ship sank, the statue just happened to fall through the hole in the ceiling, and Flounder just took credit for it. Her dad shows up and is not having the fact that Ariel saved a human. No daughter of mine is going to be a hero. In the argument, Ariel says this.
Daddy, I love him!
No.
Ariel, I love your enthusiasm for romance, but could you slow down just a bit? I mean, he's never talked directly to you. Also, you saw him for the first time less than a day ago. Also, he owns a dog. I mean, he has a lot of qualities that make up for the fact that he's a dog person, but you don't know that yet. So her dad blows up her human stuff and leaves her in tears. Effectively, she's in the perfect emotional state for someone to take advantage of her misery. When the eel suggests going to Ursula, Ariel initially rejects the idea, knowing that she's bad news. But heartache gets the best of her and she goes for it. Now let's talk about the deal she makes with Ursula. This deal is lopsided. The deal is she gets turned into a human for 3 days. And if she doesn't get her true love's kiss within those 3 days, she turns back into a mermaid and she becomes Ursula's property. And to make it worse, the fee, whether she gets that kiss or not, is her voice. And what happens if she becomes Ursula's, you might ask? She turns into a polyp. One of these horrifying things. I always feel so bad for the polyps, but they all turn back into merpeople at the end. Can we make sense of Ariel's decision to go through with this? Part of it, at least, the terms of the deal are so drastic that Ariel was kind of stupid to agree to it. But can we make sense of her decision to leave her home for the surface world and Eric? Actually, yes. She's been expressing interest in the human world this whole time, and look at what she's leaving. I do, however, wish those points could have been brought up in the discussion of the deal. Ariel hesitates because she knows being human means not seeing her father and sisters again. Instead of bringing up how rough her father is, or how she's barely shown to have any connection with her sisters, Ursula just reminds Ariel that she'll have her prince. Sure, Ariel doesn't know Eric very well, but she's ultimately not wrong to think she has a happier future with him on the surface than she would have with her family under the sea. So about Ariel's mixed decision-making skills. So far, what decisions has Ariel made? Well, she has skipped out on her responsibilities to drag her friend into almost getting eaten by a shark, and she made a deal with a sea witch where she gave up her voice and bet her freedom. But she also saved Eric's life when any other mermaid would have let him drown, and she got herself out of a toxic household. That kind of evens out. To be fair to Ariel's intelligence, she had reason to believe getting a kiss from Eric wouldn't be that hard. Remember that Eric is grateful to Ariel for saving his life and swooned over her, and Ariel doesn't know that he won't recognize her the next time they see each other. So she gets her legs and has 3 days to secure a true love's kiss from Eric. Eric finds Ariel on the shore and doesn't recognize her. Well, he kind of recognizes her. He initially thinks Ariel is the one who saved his life, but since she can't talk, he figures that she can't be the girl who saved him. Still, he gets her cleaned up and fed just to be nice. Again, he doesn't think that Ariel is the woman he wants to marry, so all this hospitality he gives her is without ulterior motive. Ariel's bubbly personality shines bright, even without her voice or sign language. They did a really good job of animating Ariel to be fun and energetic, no words required. You really do buy how Eric falls for her. Ariel makes Eric laugh, and Grimsby sees this as a perfect opportunity to finally get Eric married. Eric agrees to take Ariel on a tour of his kingdom. The film hadn't given them enough time together for Ariel to agree to that stupid deal, but the montage justifies them being in true love. They see the sights, they dance together, she makes a fool of herself, presumably to Eric's amusement, and they nearly die in a ditch, which Eric turns out to be into. The really interesting thing about this scene is that Eric is the one who lives here and is showing the other around, but Ariel is the one that makes it fun for him. Ariel is fascinated with the culture Eric has been taking for granted, or not exploring. As Grimsby pointed out, Eric hasn't been getting out much.
I'm sorry, Grim, what was that?
You can't spend all your time moping about. You need to get out. Do something, have a life.
But Ariel sees the beauty in the things humans create and introduces him to the fun he had been missing out on. Also, we know for a fact that these two had to have had off-screen interactions outside this montage, because Ariel stays with him for the whole 3 days. And yes, Prince of Song and Sea showed a lot more time spent with them together, which made their love even more justified. On the second night, Ariel tries to get the kiss she needs to win the bet, using a romantic boat ride and song for atmosphere. But the eels tip them overboard, ruining the moment. Just once, I want to see a couple kiss anyway, right after the romantic atmosphere is ruined. It's easy to kiss when you've got all the fanfare and build-up, but it means something when you can kiss someone right after being dunked overboard and sloshing your way to shore. Later that night, Eric's wingman Grimsby tells him, "You know, Eric, that girl who saved your life probably doesn't exist. You should marry the girl that does exist."
Far better than any dream girl is one of flesh and blood. One warm and caring and right before your eyes.
Eric doesn't say whether or not he thinks he hallucinated the girl that saved his life, but he chooses the Ariel he spent time with over the Ariel he's been fantasizing about. But that's when Ursula comes in with the mind control powers to derail everything. Without spoiling too much, the Prince of Song and Sea handles the mind control really well. The narration acts like it's under the spell too, with these little cracks in the hold it has on him here and there. And the way Eric acts while being controlled is hauntingly oblivious to the problems with what's going on. Ursula forces Eric to arrange an as soon as possible wedding, and Ariel is obviously crushed. At first, she's going to let Eric get married without a fight, but once she finds out about Ursula's shenanigans, she ain't having none of it. They crash the wedding and break Ursula's spell over Eric. In the process, they return Ariel's voice to her, and Eric realizes the two biggest loves of his life are the same person.
Ariel?
Eric!
You're the one. Eric, get away from her!
But what would have happened if they didn't stop the wedding? Well, it would have been boring. I haven't finished it yet, but I've been reading Part of Your Worlds by everyone's least favorite author, Liz Broswell, and it's so bad. I'll be doing a review of this later after I finish it. But 90% of the book is Ariel saying, "What are we gonna do about this situation?" And Ursula saying, "I'll kill someone if you don't stop this." And then Eric is like, "Ursula, you're a old witch." And then so little actually gets done on anyone's part. The sun sets right when they're about to kiss, and Ariel has run out of time. King Triton shows up, and to get her out of belonging to Ursula, King Triton takes her place. Why he doesn't just kill Ursula, I don't know. Oh, by the way, while Ariel was gone, Triton realized the error of his ways, so he's not toxic anymore.
Oh, what have I done?
Ursula gets her hand on King Triton's trident, and all the power that comes with it. I kept track throughout this climax. Eric saves Ariel's life twice, and she saves him once. However, Ariel already saved him once before, so they're even. And there's no reason for a remake of this film to change a thing, because that would make them not even. Ursula grows into a giant and commands the sea to spin. But what is a giant sea witch against a man in love? Your boy Eric stabs her with a ship. Now that's how you kill a Disney villain. 1,000 man points to Eric, which is the exact number of points that Ariel gets for saving him despite it being forbidden. There's nothing that needs to change for their numbers to match up with each other. Okay, fine, stabbing a giant sea witch with a ship is worth more points than dragging someone to shore, but I would counter that by saying Ariel saved Eric by herself, while Eric wouldn't have been able to stab a giant sea witch with a ship without the help of Ariel and company. So it still balances out. This climax isn't as meaty as the one from Sleeping Beauty, but at least I can say I have seen a giant sea witch get stabbed with a ship and then get electrocuted. When the dust settles, King Triton realizes he was wrong, not just about being harsh, but about respecting Ariel's wishes. I mean, they could have made her a little older if they wanted to say Ariel should be able to move away with her brand new lover, but okay. And Triton realizes he was wrong about humans. He had thought that all humans were monsters, but then your boy Eric, a human, saved him, his daughter, and all those mer people that had been turned into polyps from a resident of the ocean. So Triton changes Ariel back into a human, this time with no strings attached, and gives his blessing. And it ends with Ariel and Eric getting married. I mean, I would have had them wait a little bit longer, but just go with it. So that was Ariel and Eric in The Little Mermaid. They might have had a little bit of what people call Disney logic, but they do what it takes to make up for it. Ariel and Eric were, for their time, the best Disney princess couple. Eric has way more presence than his predecessors, and despite Ariel's recklessness, she has charm for days. Their love is well built up and thrives in spite of prejudices. Eric is torn between the two versions of what he doesn't know is the same girl. The perfect dream girl who rescues him and sings wonderfully, and the girl he gets to know, the one who makes him laugh, the one whose flaws he's aware of and can tolerate. Sure, he gets to have his cake and eat it too when he finds out they're the same girl, but he would have chosen the real her not knowing that, if it hadn't been for Ursula's interference. Ariel has the wisdom to block out her father's bigotry, see the goodness in humanity, and do what it takes to pursue the world she's always wanted to live in, with the man she loves. Well done, Little Mermaid. Well done. To rank the Disney princess romances I've reviewed so far, we have Snow White and her prince, Cinderella and Prince Charming, Philip and Aurora, Belle and the Beast, The Romance in Encanto, Aladdin and Jasmine, Ariel and Eric, Merida and Faradatch, and then way up there is Rapunzel and Flynn/Eugene. If you're wondering who's Merida and Faradatch, that they're from a book called Bravely, which is a sequel to Brave. I used to have a review of Bravely, but I unlisted it because it wasn't very good. Maybe I'll do a retry of that video too sometime. But I do recommend Bravely. At some point, I want to do retries of my couple reviews for Snow White, Cinderella, and Sleeping Beauty, and maybe Beauty and the Beast. My performance in the couple review of Beauty and the Beast is better than something like the Snow White video, but not as good as the Aladdin and Jasmine video. I'll just decide later if I want to redo that one. The Aladdin and Jasmine video is almost perfect, so definitely watch that one if you hadn't already. I forgot to mention Encanto as one of the ones I want to redo because the original video wasn't that good. I think for Encanto I might do another multi-parter where I there's not that much romance, so I'd just talk about a lot of stuff in the film. Also, I have part 1 of my couple review of Tiana and Naveen. I will get to part 2 eventually, don't worry about that. But I've already finished my videos covering the romance in Tangled. I call it Rapunzel and Flynn / Eugene. I've got all 4 parts out, and that's a pretty good series. So in short, if you haven't already, definitely watch my videos, Aladdin and Jasmine, all 4 parts of Rapunzel and Flynn / Eugene, and part 1 of Tiana and Naveen, and probably Beauty and the Beast. In terms of a couple of reviews for Snow White, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, Encanto, and Bravely, stand by for retries like this one. And of course, there's more Disney princesses I haven't gotten to yet. So remember to like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, and don't let your dad tell you who you can and cannot marry.